If you want to prevent or get rid of any existing Amazon account health issues, this video is for you. And since we are going to be touching on some more sensitive topics here today, I do also want to give the disclaimer that I'm not a lawyer, I'm not giving any legal advice, I'm just simply sharing some of the things that have helped me deal with a lot of the account health issues that come up, especially as I've scaled my business to over $5 million in sales. And since you clicked on this video, I'm going to assume you probably have an existing account health issue, and we're going to talk about that. You can see it'll show up on your account health dashboard on Amazon Seller Central. See here, I've got a couple that we're working on still with my Amazon business. So I'm going to go through the process with you of how I'm going to make one of these disappear. Before we jump into it, a couple things off the bat that I want to show you that's going to help you avoid getting any of these complaints to begin with. Hopefully you're just watching this to prevent something. And even if you've already had a complaint, let me show you some of the most common reasons that I've gotten complaints, and I've seen thousands of other sellers have the same thing. So the first example I want to show you is a product where when you go down and you check out the Keepa chart, so we can see all the data about the product, that kind of stuff. If you ever see a product that used to sell really well, this used to be, if any of you guys have been around for a while, you probably remember Balance of Nature when it was a really good item. There was a ton of arbitrage sellers on it. And you can see there was a good amount of sellers, right? There was, 30, 20 sellers, somewhere in that range. And then eventually everyone just started selling out. And since then, there's only been one authorized seller to be on this product, right? So that's the first common thing that I see in a lot of these brands that end up leading to IP complaints, inauthentic complaints, CSM brand reviews, all that kind of stuff that we're going to be talking about today. Another really common one is selling products where the brand name, you can see here is Ritual, also matches the seller name. It's well within the rights of a brand owner on Amazon to kick you off the listing and basically force you to prove that your stuff is authentic for you to be able to sell it again. Most of the time, I wouldn't recommend selling these products again if you do get complaints, but at the very least, it's important to stay on top of your account health so that you can keep your account health score high and it doesn't impact your sales, it doesn't impact your business, anything like that. Another common one that I see, especially recently with new Amazon sellers falling into, is if you ever see a product like this where it says that the brand is generic, that means that this listing was created by a third-party seller and they probably weren't authorized to create this listing. And technically by selling this product, you're really saying that Crystal Light is now generic brand and you're pretending that your made-up generic brand is somebody else's intellectual property, right? So this can lead to some of the more serious account health issues. So as a general rule, avoid anything that says that the brand is generic. When you're looking at products to sell, obviously this has problems for other reasons we already talked about, but you wanted to say the correct brand name right there. And that's going to be the case on the majority of listings, but I would just advise against selling generic branded products. And then if you're ever unsure when you're looking at new products, new brands, if that brand is safe to sell, if it's not safe to sell, generally SellerAmp will tell you on the alerts panel right here, if it is an IP complaining brand, there'd be a little badge that says IP. In this case, it's warning us that this product is generic brand. So it's always good to check the alerts panel of SellerAmp before you buy a product. It might know some things about the listing that you don't. And another good free resource to check when it comes to IP, selling new brands, that kind of stuff, is a free website. I always check the SellerAmp alerts and this website here. It's called Seller Journal Greenlight. If I plug in a brand that's like notoriously IP complaining, like Kong, it's going to tell me to avoid at all costs, bigger fish in the sea, that kind of thing. Well known for taking legal action against unauthorized sellers. So this would be something you'd want to avoid as well. So that should help you prevent the majority of traps you might fall into. But now let's go ahead and move on to the next step of the process, which is actually removing any potential complaints as they come up, right? Not always going to be fortunate enough to catch it on the product research side, but as long as you're buying your products from authorized distributors, big name brand retailers, people that are actually allowed to be selling you authentic products, you should be in the clear. And once again, this is not legal advice. I'm not a professional, anything like that. I'm simply sharing the things that have helped me in my personal Amazon business. So hopefully this can help your account health dashboard go from having a few complaints to none at all. So let's go ahead and start with received IP complaints. And when you open up this dashboard, you're going to see specifically what reason that they're coming after you on this listing for. Basically, as a general rule, unless these products are like killer for me, if I ever actually receive a complaint on these products, I'm generally just going to go ahead and try to appeal it. I don't want it to stay on my account health forever. The goal is to keep your account health score above 200 to prevent any kind of account interference, that kind of stuff. And so as these complaints come in, you're going to have a button right down here that allows you to submit information to appeal these intellectual property complaints. And you can see there's also counterfeit without a test buy. There's a few other reasons that you might also see someone complaining that the product was used, sold as new. All of those more or less have the same process, but let's go ahead and just dive into an example of one of these that's on this list right here. So when I go ahead and try to address this violation, you can see that this is one that I've put my first appeal in on. I just got to basically keep submitting the same information. And by the way, that's the case with a lot of dealing with Amazon when it comes to documentation, ungating, intellectual property complaints. A lot of times it might take a couple submissions, so don't get discouraged if you do get declined on the first try, right? So they told me that they didn't like what I had for whatever reason on this one, but I'm going to show you the right formatting and what specifically you want to upload to get rid of these, right? So let's go ahead and submit our information here. On something like this, you want to say that, hey, I've got evidence that I didn't do anything wrong here. We're buying from legitimate retailers. In this case, they said it was a counterfeit product. So we just have to prove to them that it was not counterfeit. So I'm going to say, hey, I have documents to prove that it's not. Say I'm not a drop shipper. And then right down here, if you have an LOA, so a letter of authorization, if you bought like directly from a wholesaler who bought from the brand directly, they might have an LOA. So it's always good before you start working with a new distributor to ask if they're actually authorized to be selling you this brand. For me, my business is mostly online arbitrage. So I'm usually only going to have an invoice from whatever retailer that I bought it from. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and select that I have an invoice right there. We want to go ahead and select all of these right here. So basically, when it comes to purchasing products, you want to make sure that you have all of this on your invoicing. For me, it's just going to be usually like an online order confirmation. Usually will also send me an email that says, hey, your order number is this. Here's your tracking number. It's on the way. That way I have the invoice from the big major retail website and I have proof with Amazon that item actually showed up. Those are both important. And if you don't submit the tracking proof, it can really hurt your chances of getting these appeals to work. Another big one for some of you guys who might be using prep centers or anything like that, where you're not shipping directly to you, make sure that you're always using your information as the billing address. That's how I do it. I ship everything to a prep center, but the billing address is always my business address. That way, when I have to go in here and submit any documentation, it says that it's going to match the information on my selling account, right? So down to the company name and the address as that billing information. And in terms of actually pulling these documents together, hopefully you have some kind of spreadsheet like this where you're tracking all the orders as they come in. If not, this is one of these spreadsheets in the free course down below. It's called the Amazon Launchpad. There's 4 other documents, there's a couple hours of videos in there, basically showing you how to make money on Amazon. So if you want to check out a free course like that, and check out this purchase sheet template. If you don't already have a good way to track your orders, I'll leave that down below. Let's say you got an IP complaint or whatever on one of these ASINs here. All you would do is go into your tracking spreadsheet, search. In this example, it's just ASIN 1. Go ahead and head over here, check out our order numbers, and then we're just going to be able to paste those order numbers in our email. I can't show you a lot of the specific documents and that kind of stuff I'm going to be using just because it'll show products and personal information and that kind of stuff. What I will say is if you have more than one order of a certain ASIN, this free Chrome extension right here is really useful. You can just go into your email, check off all of the emails that relate to that specific ASIN that you're basically trying to create a PDF, trying to create that invoicing document for. And if you use this extension, it basically combines it all into one easy PDF. You can combine it on free websites and that kind of stuff. That's just like one of the things that has saved me a step over the years here. And then once I've gone through my email using these order numbers right here, I've collected all the invoices, and using those invoice numbers, I've also gone ahead and attached on that same PDF any of the tracking information. And so using these order numbers, I'll download all of the order confirmations and invoicing into one PDF down to each specific ASIN. So for this example, when we're looking at an inauthentic complaint, I'm going to have all the invoices from my legit retail website or distributor all combined into one PDF. And then personally, what's been working well for me lately on any documentation requests is attaching a different PDF for each step of the process. So for example, on this, when we go ahead and upload our files, I'll go ahead and have one PDF that's all of the invoices, order confirmations, all that kind of stuff for that specific ASIN. And then in a different PDF, you can combine it with this if you got a lot of nice emails for it. You might also have emails from the brand says, hey, here's your UPS tracking information. And so I'll download all of that UPS information into a different PDF. Some people suggest to combine it all into one. I've personally had success combining each step of the invoicing, shipping process, all that kind of stuff into different steps so that it makes it a little bit easier for that Amazon rep to actually figure out what's going on basically. So for example, on this listing right here, I'm going to take that ASIN, I'm going to compare it to my purchase sheet. I'm going to combine all of the invoices into one PDF. And then I'm also going to combine all of the UPS confirmations that it actually showed up into a different PDF, and I'll submit both of those here. After you submit the information right here, typically it takes no more than 2 or 3 days for them to take a look at it and let you know whether or not that they're going to accept that submission or whether they're going to make you submit more documents. But like I was talking about, if you do end up getting any denials in the process, see if you can provide any other additional information. Sometimes there might be a page on the website that says, hey, we work with this brand to sell on our platform, right? Where it might show a little bit more authenticity for that. But for the most part, if I do get denials, I'm going to attach any new information I can, rename the PDF files, and then upload them so that when Amazon's looking at it, there's as much changed as possible so that it doesn't go to just like an automated review where it immediately gets thrown away and denied, that kind of thing. And very similar to this process, if you clicked on this video because you have a CSM brand review, you might have had an email that looks like this right here, where it says, hey, important information about XYZ brand listings, right? You're going to get an email from Amazon. This is from a separate team. It's called the CSM brand review team. Sometimes these won't even be specifically linked to any account health violations that you have on Seller Central. A lot of times though, you might have a couple people complain and say, hey, this was used, or hey, I don't think this is real, in a short time span. And then no one's exactly sure how it works internally, but Amazon might send that to the CSM brand review team. And this team's job is to basically make sure that you're sourcing all of the products in a certain brand from authorized distributors, authorized retailers. For example, this is a CSM brand review I had recently back here in August. And down here at the bottom of the email, I'm going to have to blur these ASINs, but they had specifically requested that I provide documentation, all the tracking, all that kind of stuff for 3 different ASINs that were within a certain brand that I had a couple complaints on in a short time period. And these CSM brand reviews are a lot more serious than the IP complaints, inauthentic complaints. Typically, they give you a week to submit your documents, and if they don't accept them within that week, they will disable your ability to sell that entire brand. So this is another reason why I just check that email every day and make sure nothing's going wrong with your Amazon business. And in this example, they wanted all of the invoices, receipts, all that kind of stuff issued before whenever they sent me this complaint here. And so the invoicing process is the exact same when I was submitting an authentic complaint, that kind of thing. I did a different PDF file for each step of the process. So when I ordered it, when they confirmed my order, and then when the tracking information actually showed delivered. And it's also important to provide the invoicing that shows every single unit that you've sold on your Amazon account or is in your Amazon account, so that they're not thinking that you bought 10 from a real place and you only submitted that, and then your other 10 units are from Alibaba or something, and they're all fake knockoff products. So make sure you go ahead and submit the invoicing for every single unit of the ASINs that they asked for. And so on these CSM brand reviews, they're going to have you email the CSM brand review team, but usually there'll be a reply to email right here. It's just csmbrandreview@amazon.com. And then I want to give you a quick template for what that email to the CSM brand review team looks like. This is the exact template that I use to be able to beat this CSM complaint and unlock that brand and keep selling tons of products in this brand that I like. So in that email, just attach a quick hello. I've attached all of the information, invoices, proof of delivery for X brand as requested. And then a lot of this is the information that they requested in that email. So I'm going to say, here's my store name, here's my email address. And then for each ASIN that they asked for, I listed out the ASIN, the supplier name, the address, the phone number, and the website of your supplier. If you're buying from an online website like Target, for example, I would just go ahead and use the corporate address for Target and the corporate customer service number. And then below that, I also added the ASIN order confirmation number, and then also type out the ASIN shipping confirmation and delivery confirmation. And usually that's just going to be your FedEx, USPS, or UPS tracking number put right there for them. And just in case when they open up these invoices, any trouble seeing the order numbers or tracking number, it's all spelled out, made super easy for them. And then once again, it's super important to remember, if you do get any denials, anything like that, just go ahead and keep submitting that invoicing, especially if you know you're in the right, you're buying from big retailers, you know that should be trusted invoicing. Things can get a little bit weird at Amazon. And recently I had to submit that specific CSM brand review a lot of times until they finally accepted it. One thing that did help is switching up my formatting to what I was talking about here with you today. Unfortunately, Amazon is just a volume game when it comes to submitting documents sometimes. But hopefully all this makes sense, and now you can go out there and avoid and beat a lot of those account health issues that you have. One thing that I would seriously suggest, if you are someone who's serious about scaling your Amazon business, is hiring a team that can help you out with a lot of these account health issues. For me personally, I've been working with a service called Seller Basics. It is $100 a month, but anytime I have any IP complaints with that CSM brand review, I was able to send them some emails, basically get some help, and just have an ally on my side. Because especially if one day for some reason Amazon decides to deactivate your account, a lot of the services out there that'll help you get your account back, the initial fee if you already have a banned account is super high. But for example, like with Seller Basics, if you already were paying that monthly membership with them, it's a lot cheaper. Sometimes it can even be included in what you're already paying. Obviously, you'd have to work all that out with them, but if you do want to go ahead and get something like that on retainer, it's one of those things that just helps me sleep at night as an Amazon seller. I'll leave a link down below. You can also get 10 bucks off if you check that out there. But if this video was helpful, please hit that subscribe button. Help me hit my childhood dream of having a shiny 100K YouTube plaque. Also, make sure you check out free trials of SellerAmp and Boxem, which are 2 essential tools for building your Amazon business, down below. But I really appreciate you watching this video, and I will see you next time.